Exploring the local life technical video, replacing the air filter on a Ford 6-liter turbo diesel. The Motorcraft part FA-1778 4C3Z 9601AA. Made in the USA. Let's open her up. Direction of airflow. So this is the front and this is the rear. Ideally, all I need today is a 5/16 inch socket, a little ratchet, and a pair of pliers. Could always get more interesting, we'll see. So we have a cold engine and we're going to disconnect the coolant line so that way we're not going to have fluid trying to press out of the engine from any heat. So we've been parked for over 12 hours. We might get a little bit of spillage, you never know. Nope, a little pressure. Gonna move it out of the way after I catch myself on it. If need be, we'll remove the cooling tank and let it hang up a little bit, but we'll see if we can go without it having to be moved. Now what we're going to do is we're going to remove the entire intake hose complex all the way to the turbo. If you try to remove the air filter just by itself, you are going to have a hell of a time. It is not an easy thing to do because these are all packed in so tightly that you will break something. I have broken a filter tab off of this one and I checked it earlier. Now back here we have the filter minder. Basically what this is a sensor telling you when your filter needs to be changed. The sensor went off and gave me a message that it was time to change my air filter, and once we change the air filter we'll be able to reset that filter minder. So let me get a shot of that for you. This is the filter minder and we got to remove the electrical connector here. There we go. Then we have the mass airflow sensor. We're going to go ahead and disconnect that. And we'll set that to the side. Now we're free of all electrical connections on this 2007 6-liter. Let me try to keep this out of the way here. Somebody needs to look at some power tools. So we're loosening up the clamp that holds the air intake hose nozzle to the turbo. Pretty loose there. Now I should have disconnected the batteries first, because that would give me a little bit more room. So what I'm going to do is disconnect the front nozzle. Always keep track of these guys. So we're loose here in the back. We're disconnected here. And now it's a matter of getting the nozzle out. So I'm going to get the snorkel off of here. Learn as we go. Prep work. question is, what is slowing me up? There we go. All about jiggling things around. And I am thinking I'm going to go ahead and remove this guy. This is the Ain't No Shame Garage. There we go. A lot of sweat and wiggling. You got to be careful with this tubing down here that connects into the engine. This rubber gasket was torn, so you got to be careful it doesn't fall into the crankcase. I've been playing with that one for a few times now. So now we're going to just separate the air filter from the nozzle, snorkel, whatever. And off we go. So front air intake. See, I busted it when I took out last time. So the front, all dirty. I busted this last time I took out the air filter. And here's the back end. This is what it looks like. This is a aftermarket part. All right, so again, this is the Ford air filter. This will be at least, I guess, the third filter this one's had, the original, and at least the one that we just took out, and now this new Ford Motorcraft part. Installation is reverse of the installation. Wait. Installation is reverse of removal. A lot of wiggling though. Now, why am I distracted? This is the FICM, the Fuel Injection Control Module. It's a computer, or simple computer, that often fails on these trucks. And I've been having an acceleration issue, and I just want to feel under there in case there's any loose connections. That's 3 connectors. But everything looks nice and tight. Feels nice and tight. Losing a little bit of coolant. Somebody already broke our radiator thingy there. Yeah, all those connectors look good. Can't complain there. If your wife finds you straddling your truck, it's not what she thinks. So now we're going to rejoin the entire filter setup. Can only go one way. The frame in the front is different than the frame in the back. Here's the back. We're just gonna put this here together. First, move our clamps out of the way. Come on, clamp. Here we go. We're in and berthed. Seems to have a tighter fit than the aftermarket filter it had in there. Could be anecdotal, could be totally wrong. And then we're going to put the front snorkel, or whatever it's called, the front piece, the frontispiece. Oh no, George Michael. Yeah, I'm leaking more coolant now. So pull that up. Sorry about that, you're losing coolant there. Keep your cool there. Okay, we're going to reassemble here. And clamp ourselves down. So we're pretty much fully assembled, ready to drop in, which of course there's no such thing as ready to drop in. So we have a port down here where the front nose goes. Move this back out. This harness out of the way. Now remember, it's not just what's on top. We have a pipe down at the bottom we've got to be cognizant of. Just move everything into position. Main thing is being patient. Everything wiggles. All right, let's get this guy back up here. Actually, I forgot. We have to make sure it's fitting correctly in the back too. If you've heard anyone ever curse a 6-liter Ford, it's a 22-foot long truck. Yet it's hell to work on. I haven't forgotten this little gasket up here. I'll work them in here. Alright, he's in his tab. There's a little plastic retainer tab at the rear of the degas bottle that fits into a slot, and that secures it in place, so it's not going anywhere. Now these little plastic retainers are backed up by the screws we took out earlier. Let's put those back in now so we don't forget them. Now we're still loose here. We haven't tightened our clamp down because we still have that other hose section underneath that we got to put this gasket on there, and it won't be a good fit because it's broken. So what does that mean? Are we losing pressure? Yeah, you got to have gaskets, but I'm gonna have to order a whole new part for that. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get this gasket back on there. It just should have been on there to begin with, and it would have fallen into the engine, and that's worse. So, new part for the future. We'll be doing this all over again one day. All right. I'm going to go ahead and reconnect the mass airflow sensor and the minder, the filter minder. Basically filter sensor that tells you when the filter needs to be changed. So here we go. You guys already saw me take it apart. The installation is the reverse, just plug them in. And the filter minder has a button on the back. Spring loaded, you just push it until it springs and it's reset. And now the system will now be told that it has a completely new and unrestricted air filter. Oh, what's this? I'll tell you in a minute. So, at this point, we still need to reconnect the hose to the turbo, connect radiator hose, and we'll need to put this snorkel back on. Let's go here. This will be the one that really got to spend time on and back-breaking stress. So there is a stop, a metal stop on the turbo, and it seems that we are all the way around on the turbo housing. But I'm always paranoid, so I'm going to check from a different angle. Yeah, the bottom is on from what I can see as well. Again, we are using just a 5/16 inch socket. This is going to be a pain in the butt because it's such a small screw and the clamp wants to move. But when you have a ratchet like this dial on the outside, you can use it. You can use it in order to turn the socket. Alright, looks like it's on good, but I'm going to keep tightening it down. Why? Because that's why. Still, actually it is feeling a little firmer now. Alright. I have 2 radiator degas hoses to attach. One. You can tell this clamp's already been massacred. Okay, good. And we lost a negligible amount of coolant. So we have reconnected the hose, intake hose to the turbo. We have the degas bottle reattached. We have our 2 radiator hoses, minor radiator hoses, I don't know what they're called, degas hoses, pressure relief hoses, to the degas bottle, coolant degas bottle. And now we have to put this snorkel back on. Reattached, and finally we get to reconnect the batteries. Now I'm going to crank at the truck after this, and what we're going to find is that the truck is running rough. If you think, if you don't ever watch diesels, know diesels, it might sound like it's just another loud diesel engine, but there is something missing. There's either a fuel injector problem, a fuel flow problem, which is, fuel injector problem, or there's a leak somewhere. This tube here was loose and it was leaking oil, and then it was being blown up here. That's why you see this big old stain, just because this was loose. Oh, Robert, there shouldn't be any oil in your intake. It's normal for these trucks that some oil just gets around. That's all that there are to it. If you don't believe me, go watch Diesel Tech Ron. God rest his soul. So let's reconnect those batteries. I lost my negative battery cable. Oh no! Here it is. My battery terminals need to be cleaned. That'll be another separate one I got to do here. No worries, I know. I'm not going to show you the positive battery terminal because it is actually halfway corroded off. My father-in-law and I will be working on that one to replace this whole complex. Alright, so batteries are reconnected. New air filter in place. No movement there. I need to find a bolt to put this in because my boys out in Amarillo must have lost the bolt. Degas bottle reconnected. Bolts are back in. We are in proper situation, so that means that we've been shoved under there properly. Reconnected at the turbo. We never took anything else apart. Airflow sensor reconnected. Filter minder reconnected and reset. And my little tube under the intake hose is back in place. I have my ratchet and socket. I have my needle nose pliers. I didn't need this guy today. I did not need a screwdriver today, or I did not need an 8mm socket anyway. So we're ready to crank it, and I'll be removing this guy. Listen for the fuel injectors to get excited. Okay, so that was the rah 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 of an older turbo diesel, but it's not right. It's off. It should be. It's not. If you don't think it was smooth, if you don't think a turbo diesel is smooth, you're never gonna hear it. But there's definitely something missing there. It's almost normal. I mean, when we're doing 75 miles down the interstate or whatever, it's fine. It's happy. It's cruising. But at idle, when we're at idle RPM, whether it's sitting still or we're doing 45 to 55 in steady state, the truck is just all shaky and unhappy. I almost forgot. What was that loose connector? Well, it is a sensor to the EGR system, the exhaust gas recirculator, that will kill your F-250 if it's a factory one. This truck had its exhaust gas recirculation system removed, and that is the electrical connector that's left over. Thanks for watching this technical video with Exploring the Local Life on how to change the air filter on a Ford 6-liter turbo diesel. Be sure to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you get notified whenever our videos come out. We don't often do a technical video, but you know, when we do one, we think it may be useful to some of you all out there. So we want to thank all you patrons, all you supporters. Even just watching this video is a big help. Be sure to check out exploringthelocallife.com, www.exploringthelocallife.com on YouTube. Check out our Redbubble store, check out Patreon, and what else? Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thanks. I noticed that we have a hanging electrical cord. This is part of the engine block heating system, and it should not be dangling. Somebody bent it. Anyhow, this is what you plug your truck into when it's really cold outside to help preheat the engine oil for better starts, better running in the winter. Gonna have to bend that back gently somehow. Gotcha. Alright, so. And this zip tie is there from, I think, when they went ahead and removed the cab on the engine to make sure it was out of the way. So we're just gonna put it back here behind the bumper for when it's needed. Calm air, believe it.